What is up, and welcome in to the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. It's been a long time. We are glad to be back. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ezra McCann, and I'm joined, as always, by my outstanding co-hosts. He's our NFL draft analyst. You can catch all his work at NBC Sports Chicago. He's our GM, Glenn Morgan. And usually we the order switch, but we're gonna switch it up today. He's a Chicago public league legend. He's a Simeon legend as a player. He played second base there. He went on to Grambling State and became a legend there. He was all swag at Grambling. He is Brandon Williams, a.k.a. Coach Smoke, and he is now the head baseball coach at Simeon High School. It's his alma mater. He's going back home. Man, we're so proud of you. Congratulations. How does it feel to be the head coach, man?
Man, it's like a dream come true, man. It's surreal. Like when it happened, when it was announced, it was like the love that was just shared. It was overwhelming, man. It was crazy. Just a little quick story on how it came about. So my best friend, who was also a Simeon alum, he's the assistant coach at Kenwood. And when the job came open, he was, the top pick, that everyone looked at. And I had been saying, for me to get into high school baseball, I got to make sense. Like it got to make sense. Like I'm good at the youth level. I like it there, so I'm good. But I've always told him, wherever he go, if he become a head coach, I'm going to be with him. And so when it was looking like he was going back to Simeon, I was amped because me and him was talking every day, trying to figure it out, how can we make this happen? And just things didn't work out as far as work schedules go to fulfill that obligation. So we both was like, it's just not the right time. And then like a month or so goes by and the job is still available. And, my wife was just like, man, I saw the excitement in you when you had the potential of going back and coaching at Simeon. One of my boys mentioned it to me, like, why don't you just go for the head coaching job? And like I said, and with her saying what she said, that gave me the confidence that, what, the time is now. And so I put in for it, end up getting it, and it's a crazy feeling right now. I'm still riding on the high right now. That it's like this is really happening. Like I'm coaching my alma mater. I take pride in that. So can't wait to get going. Gotta dethrone your Broncos. It's but
slow
hey,
down.
I'm ready for the task at hand.
That's outstanding, man. That's outstanding. And like, man, I know dream come true there. I know all of us former high school athletes. I think that's a dream that a lot of us have to go back, not only just to coach at the high school level and to give back, but to coach where you came from.
Yeah.
To coach your alma mater. So that's God, man. That's a blessing, man. And I just wish you the best of luck going there, obviously, except for when you played my Broncos. But yeah, that's outstanding. And you're at a great program.
Appreciate it.
Simeon is the city powerhouse when it comes to, basically all sports, man. When football, obviously basketball, the deep tradition there, and baseball. Dating back, I know going back to when I was in high school 30 plus years ago, Simeon was always, tops on the map. So that, man, it's just an outstanding opportunity for you. So proud of you.
Appreciate it.
About time, man. No.
Hey, that's what a lot of people saying. That's what a lot of people saying, man.
No, dude, that's awesome, man. That's good stuff, dude. It's gotta feel even more special when it's your alma mater, I gotta live vicariously through you. but definitely happy for you, happy, man. And Hey, I like to think that we can get a couple of interviews with the head coach of Simeon baseball without too much of a problem.
That
Yes,
shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Shouldn't be too much. But then
Shouldn't be
again,
too much. I just changed my hat. I just changed my hat from co-host to interviewee.
But yeah, man, I could, we should probably come out to a couple of games too, man. It's easy smoking the GM making an appearance out there.
Simeon Kenwood, that's perfect.
That
That's
would
the
be the
perfect
nice one.
game.
Yeah,
Don't come this first year though.
I think Ez is definitely coming the first year. He's making sure he's going
we will be repping, but no, but that is outstanding, man. Outstanding news. So let's stick with the baseball theme here. Man, it's been a while since we've actually talked some baseball.
Man, really haven't had a reason to.
Yeah, And then last night, that reason popped up, and
speaking of pop,
he got popped. My man TA, man, Tim Dog, man, TA7.
TA stands for Take Advil.
Hey, you got to. I give him credit. All right, he didn't do what most professional athletes do when it comes to
he threw punches.
To having a scuffle. You wait for your guys to come and then you start jawing. No, he put his dukes up. Said, let's go.
Yeah. Did.
Just didn't end
in
right.
true Southside fashion. Then it stopped after that.
Just didn't end right, man.
Just left that left down a little too low.
Too long. And Jose Ramirez, I don't think he meant to land that punch.
No, he
literally put his head down and just started swinging.
Yeah, he felt like Joe Frazier, just all head into your chest and just swing.
And man, just caught him right in the right spot in the jaw, man, and laid him out, man. First round knockout for Jose Ramirez.
Glass Jaw Jones.
My question though is with that whole situation, what I know that they talk about going back to the day before, but
yeah,
what did Tim do wrong at that situation just to spark that?
I still don't know. Like I heard the day before stuff as being a factor, but I'm like, he didn't put down a hard tag.
No.
You slid through him. It wasn't like he was blocking the bag. He left you room to get to the bag. You went through his legs. It wasn't like he had his legs closed. You slid your head into his knee, concussed or anything. Like, I'm like, I didn't see it. So I'm guessing the day before was the biggest factor.
It looked like maybe his forehead hit the glove a little bit on Tim's tag, but I'm like, dude, you slid head first. Yeah. Right, you slid into it. And it wasn't like he stopped with the glove where your head was. It was just like, your head kind of went past it through it, and he kept the tag on his waist, or the back end of his waist, maybe a little bit longer, but you're supposed to do that just to make sure, because if you slid over it, then you out.
Yeah.
And then
review those things.
Right. And he didn't even Scottie Pippen you like you did over you, and he didn't even walk over your head where you nuts to dangle. He stepped over you. It was like, what?
He could have backed up, like you said, and done that. No, he just did a step over. I didn't say. Now I think it was something more than even the tag from the day before, from Friday night. There was a tag on. Was it Arias?
Forget who it was, and he pushed him off.
But he pushed him. Yeah, he when he made the swipe, he pushed his hand off the bag, and he got called out. So I know they were a little mad about that. I think this goes back even further. I remember. Remember when the White Sox won the division in 2021?
No. Yeah,
it was a long time ago. Yes.
Right.
TA hit a big homer in the clinching game.
Okay.
And did the whole dramatic pause and
that was
walked to first and talk some mad shit.
That was his time when he was trying to bring the fun.
Right. I think that has a little something to do with it because Ramirez said in the post game comments, he said he's been disrespected for a long time. So it wasn't just Friday night. Yeah. Okay. I think this is something that has built up, and finally, I think Jose Ramirez had enough. And you did the thing you don't put your hand, you put your finger in somebody's face. You don't do that. And
Ez, watch yourself, Ez.
Hey, he put up, man. He just got to keep that guard up, man.
Yeah.
Come on, TA. Gotta keep that guard. And then you know what? I'm sick and tired, and I know it's funny. It was funny.
What's that?
I'm tired of all the memes now, man. It's only been 24 hours, man. They coming at him too much.
Hey, man, look. I mean, we just saw what was a week before. Errol Spence was the meme, that's TA, they calling him TA Earl Anderson.
Oh man. I saw there's one out there with the Jordan face on him. Falling.
Man, what makes it what hurts about it, and of course everyone knows I'm not a Sox fan, but I am a TA fan. Like I do root for the brothers. Like no matter where you are, like I root for the brothers, especially as an infielder. Like you don't see many of us in those positions. This has been a brutal year for TA, man. Just brutal. Just it's like this is the icing on the cake. Like, dude, just go on the IL and cut and shut it down for the rest of the year. like for real, man. It's just been bad. He hit his first home run of the season, like
2 weeks ago.
A few weeks ago.
Last week, yeah.
Like what? I couldn't believe that when I found that out. Like, are we serious here? I go to a Sox game for my mom's birthday, and everybody in the box talking about get rid of Tim. I'm like, what is going on here? Get rid of these Hispanics that stay injured. Like, but y'all want to get rid of the dude that's been holding it down year after year after year? All of a sudden, because he's slumping? Man, it's just been a brutal year for him. Of course, I'm not even going to speak on – everyone knows the off-the-field stuff that he's been dealing with.
Right. I think that has a lot to do with it.
And that's why I say you can't help but believe that that's playing a huge factor.
Has to be.
A huge factor, man. Like, it's just – I feel for him.
And he's actually been playing relatively well, hitting well, pretty much since All-Star break. I think at one point, not too long after All-Star break, he was hitting like 350 something. Now the average only moved about 230. But he was hitting opposite field and up the middle like he usually has. And you could tell, like, okay, I'm figuring maybe his personal stuff is starting to resolve itself a little bit or come to some kind of stability or whatever, and he can kind of get back to baseball. But when we look back on his history as a White Sox player, he first came up, he was struggling. If I remember correctly, like one of his good friends or best friend had passed away. And it was like it was hard for him, almost like a year, season and a half, it seemed like, to really kind of get past that. But once he had and was able, and he admittedly so said that it was affecting him. It seemed like once he was able to come to some kind of resolution with it, internally speaking or whatever, and he started playing, it's like, oh snap, like this dude could play for real. Like he was, he had a good 2.5 year stretch. He was an all-star, you know what I'm saying? He was hitting game-winning home runs, that Iowa. I'll never forget not picking on your Yankees, but that was a hell of a game. That first one played out in the fields. Just like, dude, I'm like, man, let's go.
Like one of the most memorable moments in baseball.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Right. Something that was just a baseball moment,
Yeah.
If you're a baseball fan, you can get with it regardless of who you're rooting for. But yeah, man. So all that to say that I think he's a player who, when things are in conflict with him outside of baseball, it shows itself. Like some athletes, they take refuge in between the lines. Often we heard Kobe say the same thing, back when he was going through his tumultuous situation off the court, and with his marriage being on the line and everything, and he started, just killer food. He became even more of an assassin, on the basketball court. And Brett Favre, like when his dad had passed, he was dealing with that Monday Night Football game. He balled out. Like some cats, they find a refuge on the field and they can just focus. I think with Tim, his mind is just he's there, his body's there, but his mind's on the other side of town. You know what I'm saying? So so hopefully, this could just be this just glass jaw situation can just be like the get all his bad stuff in this year, so he can just be past that next year, come back renewed.
They had him in the Mike Tyson Punch-Out game as Glass Tim. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see it anymore.
Dude, that's exactly what I was thinking of. I didn't even see that meme, but that's exactly. I'm thinking like Glass Jaw Joe. I couldn't remember the dude's name.
The internet is so mean, man. I'm tired of it. We don't want to see that anymore. All right, we don't want to see. Did you see the one Marge Simpson draws back to knock him out?
I ain't seen that one. Oh man,
I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see it anymore.
Samuel Jackson's character, Mr. Glass.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not cool, man. People. Not cool.
But funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna laugh, man. Yeah.
They're not gonna stop.
Unfortunately, I think that's gonna be the memory that we have of this of this team, man. I mean, this is going back to the start of the rebuild. This was supposed to be we were supposed to be in a championship window right now.
Yeah,
we were told that in 2019,
and it looked that way.
Yeah, and then the last two seasons, and part of the reason why we haven't really talked about them is because it just hasn't been nothing to talk about, because they've been playing just piss poor baseball the last 2+ seasons, and this is gonna be the memory.
Yeah.
On top of that,
I hate to say,
that's true. This ain't like Batista and the guy, I can't remember his name. Odor.
Yeah.
This ain't like that where they were both contending teams.
Right.
And Batista got the last laugh when he walked them off in the playoffs.
Right.
In the wild card game.
Bat flips were starting after that.
Yeah. That was the last laugh. Like, I don't see where Tim can redeem himself. Like,
not this year.
Well, he can't. They played the last game they're going to face each other this year was today. Yeah. So that's it.
Next year, man.
Yeah, next year. Jeez. How the mighty have fallen, man.
You never know, man. Baseball is funny. I mean, all sports, from year to year can be different. In baseball, we've seen worse to first type situations before. They're still talented. It's extremely talented. That's part of the problem. It's an extremely talented team, but
are they?
They are talented. They just don't play well. They don't play fundamentally efficient baseball. You get bases loaded and you can't drive somebody home, and you got the middle of your order. That's a problem. I mean, somebody should at least be, at worst, I want to see, a fly ball to right field or deep center so somebody can come home, or at least a ground ball, to the left, something, on the crack of the bat, it's on the ground, at least a run scores. And that's happened a lot. It's not like it's a one-time kind of deal. And then, base running at times has been an issue, and obviously the health, but then it's their whole approach at the plate. It's like, dude, like, what do you take up? Like, it wasn't too long ago. And again, this is just an example of the season because it's happened a lot. I think the closer came in and pitched like 4 pitches and had 2 outs. It's like, dude, like, you're only down by a run or 2. Take a pitch. Take 2. Make that dude work. You letting the cat off the hook too much. And they do that a lot. They don't take pitches they're supposed to. They don't work the count. They don't. It's like, what is your approach at the plate? And I don't know how much this manager has messed them up or added to more, inefficiency. But something. It's just it's all wicky wacky, man. But it just still feels like if they could just figure it out, they can put the puzzle pieces at the right place at the right time instead of trying to force fit it. It might work, but maybe that's just a Sox fan and me hoping for the best.
Pedro Grifol his introductory press conference, the big thing that he talked about was holding everyone accountable, right?
Sounded nice.
And we're gonna kick everybody's butt, and we're gonna play fundamental baseball, and everybody's gonna be on board. And it's been totally the opposite since he's taken over. Now you can't blame everything on the manager, obviously, but he hasn't lived up to the hype that he built, back when he got hired. So yeah, this team, I don't know, man. I don't know what else they can do going forward here unless you continue to blow it up and start over.
Yeah, but how long is that going to take? I mean,
yeah.
And then on top of that, the North Siders are doing well. That just hurts even. And I still, outside of Bellinger, who wasn't on the team until this year, I guess Patrick. I don't.
Who are these guys?
Who are exactly? I'm like, dude, I have no idea who these cats are. I think Patrick Wisdom's still on the team. I remember hearing that guy's name. I think it's Ian Happ still on the team.
Ian Happ is still there. No, Ian Happ is still there.
Well, there you go. I mean, the fact that Ian Happ is,
but they brought in Bellinger and they brought in Swanson.
Yeah, Dansby Swanson.
Two guys with World Series pedigree, though.
And Nico Horner's playing some good baseball.
Right now, I guess.
Yeah, who are those guys?
White Sox ain't got
good for them though. Good for them.
Yeah, I guess.
No World Series pedigree in the locker room.
Yeah, no pedigree.
Yeah,
none. And it don't help that you get into a fight, and not only does TA get knocked out, but Eloy gets hurt in the process.
No, he didn't get hurt.
Oh wow,
he did. Somebody stepped on his foot, and he was limping around. Now, he continued to play.
Stop.
He continued to play, and I don't think he missed any time.
Stop.
You didn't see that?
No,
I didn't see that. I didn't.
Go back, and you see him limping around during the fight. Like, come on, man. How you get fight? He can't go out into the field. Every time he goes in the field, he gets hurt.
Dude, he probably get hurt on his day off, like from Friday. It's like, how you get hurt on your day off?
That's tough,
man. So yeah, and Smoke, I'm sorry, man. I just got to mention, man.
Yeah, we struggle.
We both are having bad years. The Yankees are in last place right now. That wasn't expected.
But they're still 500 though, right?
And we're still, if we were in you all's division,
they are in a
winning.
Great division. Yeah,
that's what's crazy. That's what's some bug crap. If we was in the Central, we'd be winning the division.
Going away.
Last place. That's crazy.
I've never seen that in baseball with that many teams.
Yeah.
That's a good division. Worst to first. The Orioles is
the
in
Orioles.
First place.
Yeah.
Right.
The Orioles, man. I remember they came here to play the White Sox last season, and I think they swept
beat up on us.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that team was going to be serious, very shortly, and they've started to figure it out here.
Is Buck the manager?
No, he's in New York, right?
I don't think he's the manager.
He's the Mets manager.
No, he's not the Mets manager.
I want to say I thought I saw something that said with Buck. Buck was like he was back in town, like he was back. I don't think he's managing the Orioles, but I don't know if the Mets played the Orioles recently.
No, he is
he's the Mets. Yeah, I seen him with the Mets.
He's the Mets.
Yeah. Because I think the Orioles and the Mets played each other recently or something, and they were like Buck's back in town or something like that.
Right.
But I was about to give Buck credit. Look, he sucked just like the rest of them because the Mets are a major disappointment.
That's another disappointment. Yeah, they had to sell off.
Right.
They were, didn't they? They're the highest. They were the highest payroll, right? Yeah,
they're paying over $150 million to guys that is no longer on the roster.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And they traded Scherzer to Texas. They traded Verlander back to Houston. Yeah. It's been a crazy year. San Diego has been disappointing, but they still got a shot though.
That's though.
But still, they spent close to $300 million.
They've been doing that.
Yeah. So that's baseball. Maybe we should be like the A's and just don't have no talent. Just play AAA team. Why even bother?
It's crazy because like the A's
doesn't matter.
A's have what, 9 World Series rings? That's something like that. I think the A's as an organization have 8 or 9 World Series rings, championships.
They haven't won since
in the modern era.
Since Moneyball.
Especially since the Moneyball era.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have 9. I mean, the Cubs and the Sox. The Cubs and the Sox combined only have 6.
They won 3 of those with Reggie Jackson in them.
Yeah, back in the
Raleigh
70s.
Fingers. Yeah.
Back in the 70s, and they won again with
Catfish Hunter,
Tony La Russa, and those guys.
They won 1.
Well, they went to 3 at least.
They won 1, but they did go to 3 straight. I think
3 in a row. Yeah. But no, didn't they win 2? They beat the Giants.
No, they lost to the Giants.
They lost to the Giants?
No, they beat the Giants.
They beat the Giants.
They beat the Giants, but they lost to the Dodgers and they lost to the Reds.
Lost to the Reds. That's what it was. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, still, I mean, combined, they have more than the Cubs and Sox combined. Cubs and Sox combined only have 6.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It just doesn't seem right if you had that many championships. I think they might have the third most champions.
Cardinals got the second.
Cardinals have 11, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the A's are like 3rd or 4th most in all of baseball.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, because the Yankees are ridiculous. The Yankees got like 26,
so
27.
27 though.
27, yeah. That's
when did the A's win all those? They got 9.
Yeah.
So they got 3 60s? In the 70s. They
probably in the
going back to
40s.
They were the Philadelphia A's, I bet. He's won a lot of them.
Yeah. 3 or 4 back then, I think.
But yeah, soon to be
Las Vegas
A's. But
just shredding Oakland to pieces.
There's nothing left in Oakland.
Nothing left.
So sad.
It's just nothing
just shredded to pieces.
Nothing left in Oaktown.
Yeah, Lee.
Even the singing group's gone.
Watch this segue. Speaking of the Bay Area, college realignment. So I guess everybody decided to get the hell out of the Pac-12.
Man,
the Pac what? The Pac what?
The Pac.
They're packing. The packing 12.
Oh shoot!
Packing 12.
The Pac-12. So Arizona State, Utah decided to pack up and go to the Big 12.
Join
Oregon,
Colorado.
Yeah, join Colorado. Oregon and Washington go to the Big 10. So the Big 10 is now up to 18 teams.
Joining USC and UCLA.
Right.
It was already legal.
And so now the once mighty Pac-12 is now down to 4. So what do they do?
Crazy.
And I'm
what
surprised.
4 is
that? Stanford, Cal, Oregon
Washington
State, and Washington State.
Yep.
So that's your Pacific Athletic Conference now.
Going to 2024.
Can't even put a number on it now. I'm surprised though, considering that Cal and Stanford are Bay Area teams, one of the largest television markets, which that's what all this is about, money.
Mm-hmm.
Why the Big 10 or the Big 12 haven't gone after them?
Well, I
think they sell.
They're in that market for like what Brandon just said. How Stanford maybe a bit more of a Cal. It's not
no Brandon there.
It's not. It doesn't. No one's like going, "Ooh, Cal." Let's you on the left coast. It doesn't really resonate across the country. Stanford has a little more play.
But you're trying to put your conference's network into that market though.
You got LA. For the Big 10, you got LA. You got both LA schools. You got LA, Chicago, and New York. You got the
San
Big 3.
Francisco is 6 though.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying you got LA. You don't necessarily need to have them. The other thing, USC and UCLA bring more cachet athletically and historically athletically to your conference.
I said the brand itself.
Right. Yeah. Not just football, but also basketball, track, baseball, so on and so forth. Like you said. Now Stanford, truth be told, Stanford is one of the best all around universities, academically and athletically, and not just football, but they compete football, basketball, baseball, golf, tennis, you name it.
Women's basketball.
Women's basketball, yeah, definitely women's basketball. You name it, they're women's golf and men's golf. I mean, they're creme de la creme in a lot of ways. So I think Stanford is still that one jewel, so to speak, that's out there, and I could see maybe Stanford coming to Big Ten if they get Notre Dame, and that'd be your 20 teams. I think the Big Ten eventually is going to settle down with 20. I don't know how soon. But I don't know when NBC's contract is done with Notre Dame, but that might be. And see, here's the thing: Stanford is still so good institution and what have you that they could remain independent for a while and be okay. Just like BYU was an independent for a while and could still kind of survive off its history, so to speak. And Notre Dame's been an independent for a long time. Stanford can be an independent, and they can still maintain. Well, I mean, as far as scheduling, I mean, if we're talking just purely,
but that's just football, though.
No,
because Notre Dame is in the ACC. Everything else,
true, but I'm just saying that Stanford, like Notre Dame, was prior to everything else being ACC for a long time. Notre Dame was at independent, even before the ACC was trying to, expand a little bit.
Notre Dame was in the Big East before that.
Who, Notre Dame?
Yeah.
No.
As far as the other sports.
Yeah, they were.
The other sports were. Yeah, but again, when you think Notre Dame, are you thinking other sports or are you thinking football? You're thinking football. Football is the vehicle, athletically, collegiately speaking, that drives almost everyone's program. You maybe Duke, maybe Kansas, maybe another basketball heavy school might be the one, but for the most part, I bet even Duke football still drives a lot of the revenue for the other sports on campus, and football is that beast that that feeds everybody. So Stanford can stand on its own for a while until contractually maybe Notre Dame's contract is ended with NBC, and
the contract ends in 2024 after the 2024 season.
For Notre Dame?
For Notre Dame, yeah.
Then I would say Stanford and Notre Dame, I'm looking ahead, might become the 20th, the 19th and 20th team to join the Big Ten. And that would make the Big Ten media-wise, I mean, already media-wise, they're the premier conference. But athletically and media-wise, they stand in strong opposition to the SEC. The SEC's got a good number of the other secondary markets, and the Big 12 is the preeminent basketball conference now, and they have the tertiary markets because they got Houston, they got Dallas, they got Denver. You know what I'm saying? They got Phoenix, they got some of the other tertiary markets. You look at the SEC, and, Miami, they've got Nashville, they got New Orleans, they've got access to Dallas now as well. Atlanta, Birmingham. So they have some decent. Nashville, if I didn't say Nashville already, they've got some decent markets themselves. But the SEC is their strength is on the field, where they get their notoriety.
They have the product.
They have the product.
They have the strongest product.
Right, and that's just not going. And they get that locked down, and it's just not going to change anytime soon. So, and if once and here's the thing is all the ACC schools. That's where it becomes who's going to pillage them, or is it ACC? Do they have any chance to expand? And if they expand, what are they really trying to incorporate? Because they can't expand west. They're not going to get anything going west.
Well, who are they?
It's just nothing there,
and it's nothing there anymore.
Go after now.
That's what I'm saying. That's
can't go after nobody. Florida State wants out anyway.
Well, they'd have to go up northeast, and those markets just aren't as strong.
Yeah.
You're talking Connecticut, Massachusetts. Maybe you try to. They already have Boston because they've got some decent markets.
Yeah.
Boston College, they have access.
The Big Ten took some of their teams already in the past.
Well, it took Maryland, so they took Maryland, took the DC.
Took their biggest. That's their biggest market. That was their biggest market.
Was DC?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I don't really see what is out there that's east for them to annex, to add on. But that grant of rights, which I think it ends in either 2035 or 2036, that is the one thing that's kept the ACC from being pillaged. Because, and then I think we've talked about it before, any of those teams or schools leave, they can leave at any time, but their media rights.
What's a 30? I think it's a 30. Yeah.
No, it's not even that. Their media right doesn't matter. Their media rights stay until 2035 or 36, whenever the contract's up. So that is, so you can go somewhere.
Even if they buy themselves,
your media rights stay. You can leave out the conference, but your media rights stay.
So if Florida State goes to the Big Ten, all their home games would be on the ACC package. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying any monies, if you want to watch them, you got to talk to the ACC about it and figure something out with them.
Huh.
And ACC is, it's like it's that's why it's like a fait accompli. It's like it doesn't make sense, because it's not just Florida State that's upset. Clemson's upset. Clemson wants to go. They're like, dude, we could be making more money if we were in the SEC. Florida State's like, we'd be making more money if we're in the SEC. But ACC is like, you can go, but your media rights stay here. So I don't know how much money you really think you're going to make, because you're not going to be attractive to these other conferences, because you're not bringing anything media wise. You're bringing your competition. You're bringing, your good, your good name, but you're not bringing your media rights.
Well, even if they buy themselves out, they pay. I think it's something.
30 I heard like $100. I heard it. Well, they will have to pay upwards of like 130 something million.
Oh wow!
To completely clear their way out. So that might be the media aspect of it. They may have to pay like $100+ million to get out.
Nobody's trying to do that.
No.
So now each year, as it gets closer to 2035 or 36, I can't remember which year it is, it may make more sense for them to do that, because maybe they can recoup that back. But the media rights, the grant of rights is a big thing with the ACC, and that's why they haven't been pillaged. And Notre Dame is a little different, because as you mentioned, all the other sports are part of the ACC, but the football part is still making this money from NBC, but that ends at the end of next year. So we'll see what happens then. And I don't know how much Notre Dame is, I don't know how much their media rights per se are tied to the ACC. I don't know how much if they're considered a full member. Right. I don't know if they're considered a full member.
If the biggest impact is football and they don't have that, it's no way that other stuff is important.
Well, right. They don't have the home games. They do still play an ACC schedule outside of their home games, though.
Well, it's not so much the ACC schedule. Right. It's not so much the schedule we're talking about. It's
no. So I'm saying though. So those rights would stay with the ACC. You're saying?
I'm saying I don't know how much of their media rights are tied to the ACC. I don't know to what specificity they're tied. They're intertwined.
Because remember, we're talking just football right now, but.
Well, keep in mind
all of their sports, basketball,
right? But when we watch Notre Dame football games, they're playing ACC teams on NBC,
right?
Yeah, so the media rights aren't exclusive to the ACC, is what I'm saying. So when this contract is over, I don't know to what degree that ends everything with how much that gives Notre Dame a clean slate to start over making negotiations with somebody else. Because if it does, like I said before, I would be inclined to think that Notre Dame might look at the Big Ten and go, we're going to make more money with the Big Ten than we can by ourselves. Because keep in mind, for example, Oregon and Washington, and these guys have been members in the Pac-12 since 1915. Okay. And these guys, once USC and UCLA left, they were the big boys in the Pac-12. If the Pac-12 wanted to try and do anything to maintain itself or to annex any other schools, it was incumbent upon Oregon and Washington staying and making it so that they would want to stay. And that's getting any kind of digital streaming rights, any kind of media rights packaged together. And they knew all this going into their meetings, the Pac-12 the meetings they just had recently. They knew all this, right? And they still couldn't do it. And because here's the thing, Washington and Oregon, they're even even by not being full members, they're not full members of the Big Ten just yet, even though if they're agreed to and Big Ten is going to take them and they're leaving, they're not going to be considered, they can't be full members for like another 6 or 7 years, but they're still going to make more money by being partial members in the Big Ten than they would with any kind of package the Pac-12 came up with. And I'm saying that to say,
go ahead.
No, I'm saying that to say that if Oregon and Washington, and they're going to be making close to around 30 million or so a year going forward, and it'll probably increase as things go forward until they become full members when they can make more money. Imagine if you're Notre Dame or you're Stanford and you're hearing that as partial members you're making this amount, and Notre Dame's contract's ending down. I can't imagine. I don't know what kind of monies NBC would offer Notre Dame so they would maintain their exclusivity on NBC. I don't know. I don't know that it can match what the Big Ten is going to be able to do for a lot of these teams, because I think it's going to be upwards like 80 to 90 million per institution. Oh. That is crazy, bro. And I don't know that NBC is going to be able to. Yes, so much for amateur sports, right? So this is the kind of money we're talking about. And the SEC is like right behind. I think their members are getting around 60 million or so a year going forward. So it's a whole new thing, man.
So these networks are throwing all this money, but they're still laying off all these people. I digress. Sorry. Where the Pac-12 messed up, and when this came out, I knew that somebody was going to jump. They had made a new deal with a possible deal with Apple TV, right? Where Apple TV would stream all their games, all the Pac-12's games, but they hadn't figured out what that number would be, and they would have to wait until they get the subscribers to come in order to find out what that number is.
Oh, that's not
come
not
on,
work.
Man. As soon as Oregon and Washington found that out, we got to go.
Because we can make going forward. We know even as partial members, we're making close to 30 million starting out. And it's just that you if you're not even coming close to that, and you're talking about you insure, it's just not going to happen. Because you look at now with the Big Ten, you got markets with the inclusion of the West Coast teams. You're talking Seattle, Portland, LA, Chicago, New York, DC, Philadelphia. I mean, come on, man. That's hard to compete with that. And if you look at, even like with the SEC, like I said, we mentioned some of those programs and what they're getting, in the markets that they're in. It's going to be tough to compete with that, man. It's going to be tough to compete with that.
I'm looking at television, the rankings of television markets. Mm-hmm. The Big Ten has the number 1 market, New York, number 2, LA, number 3, Chicago, number 4, Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Let's see, number 8, Washington, D.C.
I don't know where Portland and Seattle rank, but I think Seattle
they've got hold on. Number 12, Seattle.
Okay, I thought they're going to be top 25.
Detroit 14, Minnesota,
Detroit is 14.
Detroit's 14.
Minnesota.
Minneapolis 15.
Wow. Minneapolis is 15.
Yeah,
I would have thought Minneapolis was lower.
Cleveland 19.
Cincinnati
Portland 22.
But you do got Ohio.
Yeah,
that's the whole state of Ohio.
This is ridiculous.
They got just about every major market.
Yeah, so then the only one they don't have.
That's where that money's coming in.
Where the SEC are.
Well, the SEC's got Dallas. They got access to Dallas. They got access.
They got Dallas number 5. They got Atlanta number 6.
Atlanta, Birmingham.
They got Houston 7.
Do they have Houston?
Houston is Big 12
because Texas,
because the University
of
Texas.
Yeah,
okay,
they would get that more. They would be in that market.
Okay.
New
Orleans.
They've got.
It's got to be like 18 or something.
They've got Tampa St. Pete, which is 13.
Tampa St. Pete is 13.
It's 13. Yeah.
Where's New Orleans?
New Orleans
gotta be like
is
18. 11?
Nah. New Orleans actually isn't that big of a city, I don't think. New Orleans is 50.
Damn.
Where is it? Really?
Yeah.
So Baton Rouge is probably ahead of New Orleans, ain't it?
You would almost think so. No, they can't be. Baton Rouge is smaller than New Orleans.
Baton Rouge, let me find that.
I just thought New Orleans would have especially with a two professional team. I just thought they would have had more sway. Because Detroit, look, I've been to Detroit.
Detroit, right?
Between Detroit and New Orleans, I like New Orleans vibe a little bit more. Detroit's vibe is the city.
Baton Rouge. I don't see Baton Rouge on here.
When we was talking about Oakland earlier, that was the first thing I thought about. They're gonna be like Detroit soon, but Detroit just still got professional teams. But
Detroit's actually picked up the last 15, 20 years from what it looked like in the early 2000s to what it looks like now.
I'm sorry, Baton Rouge is 95.
Damn.
Yeah.
95.
It's tough. Well,
but still, I mean that's a pretty. I mean they got a couple top 10 markets. The SEC.
I mean, but like you said, it's all about the product with them. It's not
they got the top product.
Yeah, it's about the product with them.
And with the Big 12, because here's the thing: the Pac-12 messed, but they passed up a lot of ways. But they should never have let the Big 12 do what the Big 12 did. And Big 12 was like, look, we got to act, because Big 12 was like 9 teams for a while. Like Colorado left, you know what I'm saying? Nebraska left. It's like, whoa, like what's going on here? And like you got West Virginia, okay, it doesn't make much sense. I don't know if I'm Morgantown. Okay, Missouri left. It's like, man, dude, what's going on? A&M left. It's like, dude, they're all losing stuff, right? And they turned it around and realized, they said, this is who we are. We are not the SEC. We're not the SEC. We're not the Big Ten. But we do have some of the premier basketball teams in our conference. Let's focus, and we will be the best basketball conference we can be. But in the process, let's try to increase some of our market of viability. And going and getting BYU gave you that Salt Lake City market. Okay, may not be huge, but it's still somewhat significant.
29.
You're getting UC. You're getting UC. It's better than New Orleans. You're getting UCF, so you're getting the Orlando. You're getting the Orlando market, and you're getting the foot in the Florida. You brought in Houston, which was huge, was very smart. One of the best basketball teams for the last 3-4 years. Top 10 team, top 5 team. You get the Houston market, and then you get
Arizona
Cincinnati
and
market,
Arizona
which isn't
State.
bad. Now you're in position to petition. And you get Denver, because you get the Colorado market, because you get Colorado. Now you get the Denver market, and now you get Phoenix market with Arizona, and then you bring in Utah, so you solidify your Salt Base market right there, Salt Lake City base market, and now you're more viable. And as a football, you're not bad as a football conference. You're still legit, and getting Utah and Arizona State probably helps your football. And with Dion, who knows how Colorado is going to flesh out? You're looking, and then Cincinnati, they're not going to be the same, but you're at least competitive football wise. You don't have the same cachet, but you're not also ran. You're not what the Pac-12 turned to. But as a basketball conference, you're the shit. And the Pac-12 just watched it all happen. Dude, the Pac-12 had opportunity at one point to get Texas, and they didn't follow through on it, dude. They didn't follow through on it, and they're ruining the day right now.
Well, I got to watching a little bit of Paul Feinbaum on Friday when all this stuff was going down. And I got to hear, hey Paul. What's going on, Paul? I love that because that's how everybody talks on that. So anyway, Paul Feinbaum brought up that a couple years ago, the Big 12 actually approached the Pac-12 about a merger, and at the time, the Pac-12 said, "Nah, we don't need you. We don't need you. Go away."
Just went in there
and I guess
the gentrifiers doing the hood.
Yeah, and I guess a year, man, that's spot on. And I guess about a year ago, the Pac-12 came back to the Big 12, and the Big 12 was like, "Yeah, nah, we figured it out. We're stronger now. We don't need you." And man, so just imagine had they done that merger.
If they had done it, you'd have the two largest states in the union would have been a part of the same conference in California and Texas.
Yeah. And
you just let that, the red state and the blue state just couldn't get it together. It could have been a purple conference, but no, just couldn't work together. Couldn't do the bipartisan thing.
But it's gonna make I think it sucks that we're gonna lose some traditions, and
are we really?
Well,
the Rose Bowl, that's what you're talking about? Because a lot of these teams,
but all that stuff
is paired off.
The playoff have kind of killed all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
You're losing.
What traditions you talking about? I'm sorry. What traditions are we losing that you're talking about? Maybe I need to understand what traditions you're referring to. The Rose Bowl is about the only thing I can see that won't be the same
just
any longer.
individual schools are going to lose rivalries unless they schedule non-conference. Which, by the way, with the Big Ten at 18 going on 20 teams,
it's not
will they even have a non-conference schedule?
Yes.
Could they go to 10 conference games?
You probably won't play somebody in conference.
You definitely won't. You're gonna have 9 conference games. Here's the thing, because the Big Ten is
but with more, you could go up to 10.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm saying they're not going to do that because they're too powerful, and they want to make the playoffs. You want to get as many teams as you can from your conference in the playoffs, so you don't want too many losses on too many of your teams. They right now, the Big Ten is a little upset with the SEC because the SEC is like, nah, we're going to stay at 8 conference games. We're not going to go to 9. And the Big Ten is playing like 9 conference games, which means you have more of a chance to play a tough team to trip up. Even though you no longer have divisions, you're playing, some kind of like round robin, this kind of thing every other year. But even with 18 or 20 teams, I see what you're probably going to do is probably either stay at 9 or maybe go to 8. They'll probably stay at 9. Because that way you're playing 8 teams, and it's going to be.
But you got to make compelling games for this TV contract that you got. That's why I say they may go to 10. So you're not going to be able to go and schedule one AA school.
There ain't no way in hell. I hear what you're saying, and I understand your point. I'm just saying there's no way. I believe there's no way in hell. If you're the Big Ten, you're going to go to 10 games if your competitor, the SEC, is not going to go to 10 games.
Staying at 8.
If they're staying at 8, or you might be able to talk to SEC into going to 9, but you're not going to go to 10 and they still be at 8. Because they'll be like, you'll be seeing like 6 SEC teams.
Let's make the bet right now.
Okay. What's the bet?
Make the
parameters.
I think they're going to 10.
So 10 conference games.
They're going to, yes. So next year
in 2024,
the Big Ten
up at the 10 conference games.
They're going to go up to 10 conference games. Absolutely.
Okay, is this Portillo's again?
Yeah, which I think I owe you something right now.
Well, I say this.
I'm gonna pay it.
I say this. They go to.
I don't even know what the bet was.
Well, the thing is, they go to 10. You probably never see Ohio State, Michigan play those West Coast teams.
Why not?
You will at some point.
Will they? I mean, a championship game.
No. There's no more conference, no more divisions.
There's no more divisions.
Oh, they took away the bid. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that.
So my thing is, all these networks, the Big Ten got NBC, they got CBS, they got Fox.
Well, it's the stuff. You sound like an old guy. It's the streaming ones that are really making things crazy too, because I got Peacock.
Well, yeah, and Well, that's a part of NBC. But what I'm saying is they got to make because they're these networks are shelling all this money out. They got to make some compelling matchups, and they can't depend on
I don't think that's
Michigan versus Western Michigan.
Hold on, bro. Hold on.
I don't think that's the case.
Any given week, you're going to have a compelling game. Everybody doesn't have to play the same bad teams the same week. Dude, stop. You're gonna have to make up for that bad. You're gonna have to make up for that bad Purdue Indiana game that's gonna be coming up. But you have 20. You'll have 18 teams, maybe 20. But let's deal with what we have. If 18 teams,
right?
If you're playing 9 conference games with 18 teams, they're not going to be all playing the same non-conference schedule at the same time. And they're not going to be all playing the same bad teams at the same time. When Purdue is playing Indiana, I'm pretty sure Michigan State's playing Iowa. I'm pretty sure UCLA will be playing Seattle or be playing Oregon.
I mean, what changes
every week? Every week you're going to have a good team.
Numbers wise, you're going to have to bring the better teams.
So what changes with the Big Ten? They start their season with their non-con. They will play what, two or three?
Because they have led the season with conference match. I know Northwestern opened with Nebraska.
Right. Yeah, but they don't do like the SEC who have that like non-conference game like right before
The November,
the
November non-conference,
usually once they get rolling, they in conference with the Big Ten. So, I mean, and the teams like Ohio State, Michigan always played a big dog, especially Ohio State. They would always play a quote major team in their non-conference schedule.
They haven't shied away from it.
Yeah, so I mean,
but here's the thing: we keep talking about Big Ten and SEC. Don't forget about the Big 12 and the ACC. Those are still two power conferences, and if they're not playing 10 conference games, they're like, cool, we get a chance to make it to the playoffs too. It's going to be 12 teams. Is that this year or next year when the playoffs start? Next year. So next year. So when 2024 begins, the ACC is still going to be looking like, hey, Florida State's back in the mix, Clemson still Clemson to some degree, and maybe North Carolina is that other team that you could say right off the bat, maybe 3 ACC teams you can see making it into the playoffs. And then you go to the Big 12, and you're like, well, who are the big teams in the Big 12? Looking like it probably could be maybe Oklahoma State, maybe, I don't know, Utah, Colorado, maybe Utah, maybe Arizona State, whatever. There's going to be at least maybe 3 teams out of there. And these are teams that are not playing 10-game schedules. The Big Ten is not going to be like, no, you guys play your 8 or 9 conference games. We'll play 10 games to get an extra loss or 2 to make sure we don't have more of our teams in the playoffs. And SEC, we know how powerful you are. We know you're going to have at least 4 teams, probably 6 teams that are going to qualify. You guys do the same thing. In Stanford, you're still out there, and because you're Stanford and you're playing whatever, you can be that one team that still has Pac-12 or whatever the case might be. I'm just saying, dude, there's no way the Big Ten next year is going to say we're going to go fall on our sword and be the noble conference and play 10 conference games.
Is it going to? It's going to. I don't think it's going to really matter because you're going to have 3 4-loss teams that make the playoffs.
Are you?
You guess.
Are you
4-loss teams?
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible, but it's also more.
And then wait till they go to 16.
It's more possible. If you're playing 10 conference games, you're going to have an extra loss. If you're keeping it to 8 or 9 and your non-conference games are Western Michigan and a Citadel, and you're playing James Madison, which aren't necessarily gimmies, but I'm just saying.
James Madison plays some good football down out in Virginia there. But no, I hear what you're saying. I definitely hear what you're saying. I just think the networks are going to clamor for more conference matchups.
Well, I think with no divisions anymore, I think you can structure it where you get those big games within the 9 games.
Right.
Why do we have all these 18 teams and we're not playing each other?
But
you will
the full allotment.
That's what I'm saying. You have more teams, so you have more games to pull from.
Yeah. I think it within 9 games you can still structure it where Ohio State plays USC. Ohio State plays Oregon. Ohio State still plays big Penn State. Still going to play Michigan. Ohio State plays. You got to get them a gimme, Rutgers. Maybe but you can still structure it within the 9 conference games where they play the big dog.
You're going to probably have 14 regular conference weeks available for regular conference games throughout college football. At least 14 weeks. If not, maybe 15. But I think it's about 14 because you're basically saying all of September, all of October. So that's 8 games, half of November or 3rd of November. So that's another 3. That's 11. And maybe, 2 weeks in August or whatever. So about 13, 14 regular
14 weeks.
Yeah. About 14 weeks. If you got 18 teams that are playing 9 games, conference games, that's 18 times 9 opportunities you have to pick a game for 14 weeks for your conference. That's what 160
game. Yeah.
162 games.
I'm just telling you what the
it'll be a marquee game every week.
I'm just telling you what the aspiring television executive in me would want to see.
I agree. And as your marketing guy, I'm telling you, like Ez, I got you covered, bro. This is not a problem because week 1, I'm giving, and here's the thing, because you figure they still got the contracts with ABC/ESPN, the Big Ten we're talking here, or the big conference we're talking here, to where they're not going to give up Ohio State, Michigan. Okay?
No, ABC is gone
completely.
Yeah, all Big Ten is Fox, NBC, CBS.
Okay, so, Fox. Okay. So let's say Fox and CBS.
ABC has the SEC now.
Okay, so maybe Fox and CBS get and Fox will probably get the Michigan Ohio State game or whatever. Here's what I'm saying. Hear me out. So Peacock is like, okay, we gotta get the third best matchup for our Saturday night game. Okay, because that's what Peacock has. It's Saturday night college football, Big Ten style, right? So let's say week 1, it's UCLA is playing Michigan State. And then let's say Penn State is playing USC. So those 2 games are probably going to be on Fox and CBS. The third game is probably like Ohio State is playing Iowa. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's still a good game.
It is.
And I'm saying that each week you'll have at least 3 to 4 key, strong, good matchups because Minnesota's still going to be competitive. Iowa's still going to be competitive. Wisconsin's still going to be competitive.
Not national brands though. So I'm saying they're not going. CBS with their 3:30 Eastern time slot is not going to want Minnesota Northwestern.
I understand that. No one. That's the Big Ten network.
Purdue, Indiana.
Those games are the Big Ten network.
I'm just saying if it
all but it don't have to be but it don't have to be a marquee matchup either though. I mean, we've seen Alabama playing
Mississippi,
Ole Miss, or
that's a premier game.
Well, dude, so is.
But I'm saying that's not a.
So is Oregon playing Washington.
When was the last time we saw Vandy?
But you keep talking about none of those games would never be on the show anyway.
I'm trying to find a bad SEC team. I can't.
Nah,
you
ain't gonna see that.
That's not proving your point.
But you will see. You will see a Georgia, South Carolina on a.
Yes.
And South Carolina's been bad. But you'll see Georgia, South Carolina on CBS.
You'll see Tennessee, Georgia when you know Georgia's going to win that game.
Okay? But that's a national rivalry though.
That's not a national rivalry.
It is. Everybody knows Tennessee, Georgia.
That's not a national rivalry, bro.
To your point is, yes,
I'm a Tennessee guy.
Yes, we're not going to see. We're not going to see Illinois, Illinois, Indiana on those type. No, we're not.
You're not seeing that now.
But you don't see those. No, you won't see those.
You might.
Do you realize
you might see USC, Illinois. Watch USC pound on them.
We just got USC, or not we, but the Big Ten, this region just got USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. All 4 of those schools have an opportunity to be in a playoff next year.
I agree with you.
And they'll be playing teams like Penn State's still good, Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa.
I agree.
Wisconsin. So both teams don't have to be the national team is kind of the point. Because when you like Brandon just said, you had Georgia, South Carolina. Georgia is the draw, not necessarily South Carolina, but it's still going to be a good game because South Carolina is still competitive. If you've got Oregon, and who's a brand, they are a brand.
They are.
I kid you not. If Oregon is playing Illinois, and Illinois is the Illinois that we know now that it's a competitive team, that will still play on Peacock Saturday night. I'm still gonna watch that game.
Illinois Big Ten was primetime last year.
It's kind of what I'm. No, they were moving up the charts.
They were getting there.
But I'm saying, wasn't that on primetime? I'm saying, wasn't that in the primetime slot?
Illinois had a couple of ABC games. They had a couple of ABC games.
Illinois, Michigan, I think was a big one, but that was late because Illinois was actually ranked. So I'm just saying, there are 4 more teams. They didn't bring in like Oregon State and Washington State. They brought in Oregon and Washington. They didn't bring in Cal and Arizona State. They brought in
they brought in home run hitters. I agree with you. I'm just saying that the execs, the network execs, are going to fight.
Well, yeah,
to have more conference games. That's all I'm saying.
No, they're not going to fight to have more conference games. I mean, they may fight. They may fight, but the conference is like, look, for our brand to still be competitive and maybe to compete against SEC, it is cutting our nose off to spite our face if we take on an additional conference game, and they're not, because the big money later on, especially for the conference, as far as they're concerned, is making that playoffs. That's when you start getting into the close to the billions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, dude, like you can live with Oregon playing. And here's the thing: they're non-conference games. You can still have Oregon and Oregon State play. That's still a big time rivalry. That's a Civil War. That's a rivalry that has a name. You can still have Washington play Washington State. You can still have USC playing Stanford, and that's still going to draw.
Yeah.
Now here's my question with realignment. Now that the Big Ten has expanded so much and added 2 more West Coast teams, might it behoove them to go back to having divisions, just in terms of travel, and not just with the football teams, because football is just once a week, but with all the other conference, all other sports, collegiately speaking, basketball where you're playing 2-3 times maybe a week, softball, baseball, so on and so forth.
Easier because you're there for three days.
Okay, well, baseball, but then again, now that in the Big Ten, they're playing a lot more cold weather teams.
Now that is the
how is that going to work?
Now that's what I've wondered. But that's now that kind of only with the alignment that only affects the LA schools, though. I mean, Washington and Oregon is in cold weather states also.
That's true. And I don't know if they have indoor domes or not when they play, but
so that only affects the LA schools, which you deal with. But
I mean, with travels, what I'm more so concerned about.
But travel, travel stuff is going to be big,
right? Because they're not professionals; they're still students, quote unquote. They're still students, and there's still, there's still a whole lot of liability with the flying, and they're still people's kids. They're not on their own kind of deal. So I don't know. Does it behoove the Big Ten or the Big Conference, however you want to call it, to go back to having divisions so that travel is less impactful?
They may go back to it in the other sports though.
Well, they can't do it after the confusing dissertation they gave us on the schedule that was coming out previous to this. So I don't know can they go back to the drawing board now?
Well, I'm saying I can see them not having divisions for football, but having divisions for everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, we as we stated already, football does what the hell football wants to do.
That's true.
I mean,
and it's not as many games.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this: with all this, and we've been going back and forth for a while now with this. I think we sound excited about the prospects of this going forward.
I just can't wait until EA Sports College Football drops in July of 2024. That's what I'm waiting on.
But what's funny is we were doing this back in 2014. We moved teams around, Brandon, and we were playing SEC, but we had like USC was in the SEC. We had Oklahoma in the SEC.
That's the first. That's the first thing I thought of when all this started happening. I was like, man, this is just like the video game.
Right.
Just crazy conferences. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, no doubt about it. Hey, let's move on to the Bears real quick. They have started training camp. We are in football season. The Hall of Fame game was just played this past Thursday. So
what?
3 seasons.
Football's been played. Woo. Passes were thrown. People were tackled.
They were. They were. Let's start off. Obviously, the big thing is the development of Justin Fields.
Who's he now? Remind me who this.
He's number 1.
He's a first-round draft pick?
Right. He was a first-round draft pick. That's right. This
year?
They say he's going to be pretty good. We don't know. But his development with DJ Moore, I guess that's been the talk of training camp. What I haven't understood is you get all these conflicting reports.
Are they conflicting?
It's been magical one day and then
the defense wins the day.
Yeah.
That's not conflicting. That's just reporting, right? I mean, you're just reporting what you see. I mean, one day is different from one.
But they've mostly been reporting during practices when the team is wearing helmets and shorts.
Yeah,
doesn't mean much.
We know Les hates that.
Doesn't mean much, man.
I'm with him. I'm with him on that.
Yeah.
I just get tired of, the fans that don't know just get wrapped up into this. Mm-hmm. And it's like, everybody relax. Let's wait until the finished product is on the field on September 12th, whatever the date is, that we play Green Bay.
I say wait till October.
Well, I'm just saying regular season.
No, I get you. But even then, I'm like we won the first game last year.
Yeah.
Who's going to believe that Frisco with their
third string first two?
No, we lost the second one.
They started 2-1 though, right?
We started 2-1 for sure.
I can't remember the second.
We beat Texans. We beat the Texans the third game.
Third game,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So we lost.
Right. So we're 2-1. Seattle started. San Francisco started 0-2, I believe. And you got your third string quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, and goes on and leads his team to the NFC Championship game. So and the year before that, we fight hard against the Rams, lose on the road, understandable, and then we beat the Bengals, make Joe Burrow throw 4 picks. Both those teams are playing in the Super Bowl, and we're looking at a high pick. So I'm just saying, I wait till October. Really, that to me, that let you get you 3 weeks to understand what your team looks like, and then going forward. But I'm sorry, Ez, I apologize. I cut in. You were saying, relax. You're telling all
in my best Aaron Rodgers impersonation. Just relax, people. Relax, reporters, bloggers, podcast hosts. Relax. Bears signed Yannick Ngakoue on Thursday night. He's a pass rusher. He's 8 sacks the last 4 seasons. My question though is, how hasn't he gotten wrapped up with somebody?
Because he wanted a multi-year contract deal, and that's what he was holding out for. And I think he wasn't getting that because I think that's specifically what he is. He has been noted that he's not very good against the run. Mm-hmm. Although someone can argue tackle for losses is actually being good against the run, catch them before they go somewhere. But I think he becomes a bit of a liability on the edge in terms of not being able to hold the point of attack there, and a team can run at him, or you're paying for a high price guy that just comes in on third down for the amount of money he was asking for. So I think that was a bit of a sticking point because he did not get a multi-year deal with the Bears. They
gave him 1 year. Yeah,
gave him 1 year. Deal. And from what I was reading earlier, his market value was around $14 million a year, and the Bears got him for 10.5. So I think the Bears are having him come in, to be specifically that third down guy. I'm not certain how much on first and second he'll play. We'll see.
So he's Mark Anderson.
He could be. He's going to be a high price Mark Anderson. But I mean, if we have a situation where we have opportunities to maybe win a game and we need to stop a last drive or close out a game, he can be a pass rushing closer for us. And we haven't had that. And I'm not big on sacks per se, but I am big on sacks at the right time. Mm-hmm. I'm big on sacks at the end of the game. You look at Aaron Donald, the Rams don't win that Super Bowl if Aaron Donald isn't who Aaron Donald was.
Yeah, that last drive.
Right. And that's where you see the significance of it making a difference. It's not so much the sack in the first quarter that did something. It's that sack at the end of the game, or that sack on their final drive when they need to score whatever, and you're able to, diffuse that with, a sack of some sorts. So yeah, I think it's significant there, but I think it's smart too, because next year, he's not going to hurt your cap at all. And so if you want to sign, if another pass rusher who's a little bit younger or a little more complete of an edge rusher becomes available, maybe you sign that guy. There may be some guys that may be available, but you still have an opportunity to draft an edge rusher too. And so I think we're looking more toward having that be the person who we invest, or the Bears invest in more, someone that you draft, because then he's going to be cost effective to begin with, what I'm saying? And so you're saving money there too. So I think it was smart not to give him a multi-year deal. I was kind of thinking that Justin Houston would be that guy, kind of for the same reason to some extent. And he knows Eberflus's system because he played under Eberflus with the Colts for a couple of years, and he also probably familiar with Poles, or Poles is familiar with him to some extent because he was at KC around the same time Poles was there at KC doing his understudying as a administrative person. But Houston signed with the Panthers. Yeah. So I hope he doesn't help them too much because we need the Panthers.
Yeah, we need them to finish dead last.
Yeah, the problem is
that division is so bad.
Well, it's bad, but it's competitively even. And that may not help us when it comes to the Panthers. Because think about it. The Panthers, I thought they had like a horrible record. I said, man, they were just like, I think, 8-9 last year or 7-10, something like that.
They were 7-10 because the Bucks was 8-9.
Right, 7-10. I'm like, at 8-9 won a division.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're right there. They were, if I remember correctly, they were there up until the end of maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks. They were in the discussions. They had a chance to win that division, and so their defense was already pretty decent. Offense is where their struggles are probably going to rear its head. But in that conference, or I'm sorry, not conference, but in that division, it may not be as problematic because everyone else is kind of at the same point. Tampa Bay's got its issues potentially on offense, and the Saints look like they should be the best team, but no Kamara for the first 3 weeks because he's suspended. We got to see how Carr adjusts to this new team and they to him. And then you're looking at Atlanta, and I think Atlanta has as good a shot as anybody winning that division, even though they're real young in a lot of spots. They're young and talented, and no one's expecting much from them. So the Panthers, if they're 8-9, 7-10, I mean, what does that get us? Top 15 pick, maybe? Yeah, it's not top 5. That's not top 5. We need them to be like 5 and 12 to think that we're going to get a top 5 pick. And even then, that might be, borderline. That should be top 10, but I don't know if it's necessarily top 5. I don't know. So, the Bears signing Ngakoue and also Mercedes Lewis, I think.
What's the meaning behind that?
I think that was a Getsy thing.
I think it's a Getsy depth thing and a guy that knows the system and helps with your blocking, because Tunion's not going to be that guy that's blocking. He can maybe get in the way, but if you have a let's say you got a goal line package and you put Mercedes Lewis on one end blocking and you've got Komet blocking and you put your whether it's Foreman or Roshan Johnson in the backfield, maybe it's a bigger backs per se to get that push, and maybe you got Claypool blocking and maybe Equanimous, or maybe you got 3 tight ends in there. That's your elephant package, or your whatever you want to call it, your rhino package, whatever you want to call it. I think that's why you get Mercedes Lewis, because he's a hell of a blocker, and you convince them that, hey, we can use you, a little extra pay. We're not going to play you that much, so you don't need to do this extenuating, practices here. Just come in and just, it's all we're really asking for you to do, but you can still make some nice coin. All right, sign me up.
Yeah, I saw that signing on the ESPN crawl on Friday, and I was a little puzzled by that.
You can't have too many Green Bay players on your team, apparently.
I guess I'm not a big fan of that. Unless they're in their prime. Like, I would love to have a Devontae Adams, on my roster.
Yeah, but I mean, the guys we have, what we're using them for, I don't see a problem with it.
No, I'm just
you just being a Bear fan,
just being a football fan. That's all it is. Man. That's all it is. This defense does this. How much better is this defense now?
Well, you know what, I think it gets us another win. If you were like, I see 6-11 or 7-10, I think you can be like, I can see 9-8. I could see 9-8 being more of a potential floor. And if you look at the schedule and who we're playing and the quarterbacks we're facing, 9-8 seems, and this is, of course, health staying, relatively, upright, everyone being healthy enough to compete. It adds depth wise. I think it helps in that regard. It kind of, I heard someone say that it kind of helps similarly, like how DJ Moore kind of helps slot guys in a better spots, that Yannick kind of helps define people's roles. I don't know if he does that. I think the roles are pretty much already defined. I think it just gives you more confidence that we got at least a legit pass rusher. Somebody that might draw a double team, which could free up the other guy that needs to only be one single blocked, or it may help someone in the middle, be able to be single blocks. And maybe, so you're getting pressure from the inside and outside kind of thing. I think it does that. I think it helps the guys in coverage a little bit better. They don't have to cover as long because now you're getting more pressure. You're getting someone to put a little heat on the quarterback. I think it helps in a cumulative effect, a more wide spanning, as opposed to just specifically getting a sack. I think it helps each level, helps the linebackers in their coverage. It helps the secondary in their coverage. It helps the guys who are on the front line be able to, beat their man one-on-one more so, and maybe not face a double team. Or it may help you defensively, by you being the Bears, defensively be able to option yourself to leverage a matchup that works for you, as opposed to every matchup being one where you're either equal or it's working against you. Because now you have to account for Ngakoue. So that is a chess piece that someone has to account for, that you can say Ngakoue can beat this guy. We're winning this battle, so they have to account for that. Right now, you can't say that on the front line. Like, you're not saying that the Bears are winning any of those battles on the front line. You just aren't. So I think it does that. So yeah, I think overall it helps the defense, and anything that helps the defense invariably helps the offense, because it gets the offense on the field quicker and sooner. And any mistakes that the offense may make, the defense may be able to help eradicate, or at least, clean up a little bit, so it's not as impactful a mistake as, has it been in the past.
I think that the secondary is legit.
Mm-hmm.
The linebacker core is strong,
solid.
If they can just, if they can just be
get some pressure,
tad better than they were last season.
I think they're a tad better already.
This defense is
top 15.
I don't know about a force, but yeah, they'll be
top half of the league,
middle of the pack. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I see 12 to 15 should be, because again, everything is crazy and it's cool and it's football. So many things work hand in hand. There's the ebb and flow, or there's how this affects that. And when your defense is better, or if I should say when your offense is better, the defense doesn't have to work as hard. They're not out there, not exposed as much. They're not worn out as the season wears on. So a better offense helps your defense last longer. A better defense helps get your offense more opportunities, to give the defense more opportunities to rest. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they kind of work hand in hand in a kind of way. And that Ngakoue signing is essential, I think, toward helping the offense. And just as much as DJ Moore is essential in helping us be able to move the sticks and have an offense that can attack via the air. We know we can attack on a run. We led the league in rushing last year, and we're the worst record in the NFL. And we had over 3,100 yards, or over 3,000 yards rushing as a team. So, and we got additional running backs to make us even stronger. And the line should be better at blocking. So right then and there, you see where there's been an upgrade at somewhere where we already didn't have necessarily a weakness in terms of the running game. And this coaching staff, to me, has shown that they're going to do things without overexposing themselves and putting themselves at risk. I won't say it's conservative, but it's not one that's, it's not San Diego it's not Los Angeles Chargers where, 4th and 5, 4th and 7, we're going for it in a playoff game or whatever, not taking unnecessary risks. So
we are Saturday, the first rehearsal at Soldier Field against Tennessee Titans. So football will be here before you know it. Can't wait.
Come on, really? What are we expecting to see the first week, man?
Football.
Just some guys running around. Yeah. I know, but as Bear fans, what's going to make you?
I don't make you feel no expectation.
Yeah,
no expectations.
I don't want the first team out there longer than 2 series.
Okay, so how long do you want? So is it the third game now, which is the final dress rehearsal?
I think it's the second game.
Really? That's going to be the one?
Because the third game is the week before the season starts.
Right. But don't you want to be? I mean, how tuned are you second week, second game? You're not that tuned up second game.
No,
can you play a quarter? Can the first stringers on the third game at least play a quarter? Bless you. Play a quarter. Is that legit? Bless you.
In the first game?
No. Third game. Just play one quarter, a full quarter.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can do that.
Yeah, that's all. I'm not saying play the whole game or 3/4.
Maybe a half. Remember, it used to be the third game. You would play the half and then into the third quarter. I don't think I need to see that.
I don't need to see that. Just give me a full quarter, and if you're on your last drive, as the quarter ends going to the second quarter, just finish up that last drive offensively or defensively. I think that would make me feel, or I can make an assessment like, I think we got something here, or all right, we need a lot more work before the season begins.
Yeah, only goal is to make sure that number one is on the field on September 10th against Green Bay. That's it. That's goal one. There we go. Yep. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening. We greatly appreciate it. You can catch our podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. Did I say Stitcher? Yes, that's Stitcher. Or wherever you find your favorite podcast. I ran that right off the head. You can also catch our other podcasts, the Father Good podcast, hosted by Marshall Givens and Kenny Stevenson, and the Super Duper podcast hosted by Rob Griggs. You can catch those at hp53productions.com. Yo, Glenn.
Yep. Please
take us out.
Hey, like we always say, we ain't saying we're right. We're just not Pac-12 wrong.
R.I.P. to the Pac-12.
Man.
We will catch you before the start of the NFL season, and we'll have some previews for predictions and all that. So,
yes.
So we'll catch you in a couple weeks. Take it easy.
Can't wait for that.
Peace.